Why fascism is so successful in democracy?
So I think this goes all the way back to Plato's Republic. Plato says that that fascism gives you democracy gives you freedom of speech, and with freedom of speech you can say anything. And so since you can say anything, you can raise resentment and fear and panic. And so Plato says if you have democracy, there's going to be someone who comes who raises fear and panic, splits the people, presents himself as the person who will protect them, and then he will take charge and end democracy. So Plato says democracy leads straight to tyranny. Mm-hmm. So democracy contains this difficulty at its very center, that democracy has two values: freedom and equality. So everyone's allowed to say what they want. That's part of freedom. And everyone is equal, so you can say what you want, I can say what I want. So it looks like democracy requires freedom of speech. But if it requires freedom of speech, then I can use propaganda, I can raise fear and panic. So the theorists of democracy have always argued that democracy can only be stable if we have an ethic of equality and mutual respect. So when you start to have a system where there are large differences between the rich and the poor, and people start getting angry at each other, people feel afraid, and then you can get them to focus on things that frankly are not so central, like feminism. I mean, feminism is central. So feminism is central to equality, but you can get them to be afraid that feminists are coming, are looking to overthrow men. You can get them to focus on things like bullfighting, which are fundamentally not that important. When you face climate change, bullfighting is not that important.
Yeah, sure. So the success of the fascism in democracy is based on abuse of democracy.
It's based on abuse of democracy. That's exactly right. And democracy leaves itself open to abuse because that's its nature, freedom. Yeah. Freedom leaves itself open to abuse. Yeah. So it will always be a threat.
Yeah, always be a threat.
Always, yeah. Unless, if you look back at theorists of democracy like Rousseau, they say the solution is to make sure that there's no large distinctions in wealth between people, that people respect each other as members of the same society. So once you get people to fear each other, to be afraid of each other, and to be resentful of each other, then you can use democracy's freedoms against democracy.
And then there are things that helps fascism to rise. For example, inequality. You say the inequality.
Inequality,
it's a perfect context for the rise of fascism.
It's a perfect context for the rise of fascism. So it's no surprise when you see inequality rising and rising and rising, you see these tendencies towards fascism.
So the world is going to fascism because the inequality is
rising. That's right. So you can, and what fascism does, and what we're seeing now, who are the forces behind these fascist movements? Who's paying for Bolsonaro in Brazil? Who's paying for Donald Trump? Who's paying for Brexit? The people paying for it are the people who like the inequality, who benefit off the inequality. They want to get people to look away from the forces that are responsible for our current situation, which are the multinational corporations, the oil companies, the billionaires, and the technology companies. What are people afraid of? Climate change. They're afraid of their children won't have jobs because automation and computers will replace them. That's what people are afraid of. But what you do is you say, oh, don't pay attention to us. Pay attention to the immigrants, the ones who are both lazy and here to steal your jobs.
They say that of the Jews in Germany in the 30s. Yeah?
Absolutely.
Lazy and,
yeah, they said the Jews in Germany were both lazy and there to rob you constantly. Yeah. Constantly working to rob you and yet lazy.
So the success of the fascism in democracy is based too in the way that they simplifies the human existence. It's easy to live according to their ideas.
Yes, that's right. And they try to say there's one thing responsible for your for your fear, for your sense of loss of belonging. It's that there are, well, there's two things. There's the liberal elite who are telling you that you have to respect other people who are different than you. And then it's the immigrants or the foreigners or the minorities that are being brought in and corrupting and polluting your culture and putting your women in danger. And so the liberal elite are telling you you have to like accept this, and it's taking your traditions and grandeur away.